Hello. This is my I'm going to try and be as brief as I possibly can, review for Simpsons Season 1. I'm going to start by talking about how when I was young, my experience with The Simpsons. I'm going to start by talking about my experience with this show. I've watched a few episodes from like season 30, 31, 33, 32, whatever one. I've watched a couple episodes, I think, from like season 28, or I think a few episodes recently that came out that was on Channel 4 that said something around like season 30, roughly round about that point. Might have been a season after it or season before, give or take 1 or 2 seasons. But when I was younger, after school, I would actually watch a few episodes of The Simpsons. When imagine maybe like seasons like 10, 15, between 10 and 15 or 15 and 20 around between seasons 10 and season 20 for The Simpsons. I'd watch at night after a day at school when I was younger. I'd watch a few episodes, but then I went out of that phase and I haven't, for a good few years, I wouldn't watch any of it except for that the Thanos clip that they did back at the start of 2019 that I remember because it was after Infinity War and it was before Endgame, and I remember Infinity War was 2018, Endgame was 2019, and The Simpsons did an episode that a few different channels, news channels that I follow, talked about briefly. They talked about the Thanos reference and how they were playing on that, and it was kind of cool reference, by the way, with the Infinity Gauntlet. I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool, but overall, I'd say for the longest time, I wasn't really watching The Simpsons. It must have been a good long while since I'd properly sat down and watched The Simpsons and gave it a season a go. But I just recently was in a second-hand charity shop, picked up The Simpsons Season 1 DVD box set. I've watched it from start to finish, and I've wrote down a few of my thoughts. And I'm going to say I enjoyed it. Enjoyed The Simpsons Season 1. I wish I'd actually picked up Simpsons Season 2 and Season 3, actually. Might maybe get them online. As much as there's streaming services and Channel 4 has episodes on from time to time, but there's something nice about just having physical media. I would say I've listened to a few people talk about that. I've talked about that with a friend, and I think there's something nice about physical media. I've actually got a VHS player still. I bought one recently, and I've got about a dozen or so VHS tapes, and I like physical media for a few different reasons. I'll maybe do a video on that at some point, but I think let's talk about The Simpsons Season 1. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to try and not make like a 10-minute video, at least try and keep it below 8 or 9 minutes, hopefully. I'm going to start with Episode 1. Episode 1, Roasting on an Open Fire, the episode where Santa's little helper joins the family. Bart gets a tattoo. Marge uses her savings in the big jar to get the tattoo off. He was actually trying to get the tattoo to impress his mother. He almost finishes it, and then you have that scene where he fakes his ID. Somebody asks him, how old are you? And he says like 18, and the guy doesn't even bother asking any other questions, which was kind of funny. And Homer bets on a dog to win, doesn't win big. He doesn't get paid a lot when he's playing the role of Santa. He's expecting a big paycheck, but they end up using it for like Social Security and like deduct some for taxes, and then they deduct another bit for like I'm not 100% familiar with American technical terms for their government agencies in America. For instance, the RIS or something like that. They deduct a certain amount from the paycheck. I think that then he ends up with like $13, and he gambles it on a dog that was 100 to 1, hoping he'd win $1,000, and then he loses, but he gets to keep Santa's little helper, and that's a nice warm moment. I thought the season 1 was pretty good. You see them when the first episode starts, you see them appearing at the school play, and Lisa's doing that like traditional Hawaiian dance, I think, like with like the mask, she's juggling fire, kinda. That was all right. I thought that was kind of cool. Bart's singing the Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg, and then Principal Skinner yanks him, and I think he tells him off. That was a good introduction. I liked that introduction. It was just different animation then as well. I mean, the style difference compared to the season 30, round about the season 30 episodes, compared to season 1, 30 years ago. Such a huge contrast in the quality. The like style, like the overall, like just the way it looks, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying that season 30 is inherently better and that I prefer it. I'm just meaning like you can tell the visual effects, if you will, the picture design, the way in which it's been animated. You can tell there's a massive difference. I suppose you would regard it as being an upgrade, you would say, but you could also then make your case that you personally prefer season 1. I'm not going to say what my personal preference is at this moment in time. Maybe I'll make one after I watch a few other seasons, see how many seasons I'll go through, but leave that for another day. Right, and then you've got like episode 2 is Bart's the genius test, when he swaps tests with the other kid who's kind of a bit of a nerd. You've got the episode 3 when Bart is at the work plant and the twin girls kind of taunt Bart a little bit because their dad outranks him. And then I'm just going to skip a few episodes here actually and talk about one that I really enjoyed, and that's Call of the Simpsons, episode 7. Where like Homer gets mistaken for Bigfoot, and then Homer tries to buy an RV. He ends up Bigfoot ends up being in the newspapers because Marge is saying that's her Homer, and he likes to eat pork chops. And you see the camping scenes. You see them with Maggie interacting with the bears. You see the RV going over an edge, and you see like a mini explosion. I thought that was a good episode. I enjoyed that episode. I'm going to say that's one that stand out for me. You've got the Telltale Head. You've got the one that's where Bart wants to see Mutants 4, but then he meets up with the cool kids, the rebellious kids. And then, of course, he cuts off the head, and then he tells a story to all the villagers of Springfield. I would say that was a good episode. I really enjoyed that one. I thought that one was a nice. Then you see like the heads kind of trying to talk to. The head's kind of trying to talk to Bart a little bit, giving him a bit of moral advice, giving him what he should do, what he shouldn't do. And then you've got the episode there that's like the Reaps of Wrath or something like that, where Bart pulls a prank on the school on Principal Skinner's mum, and then you also see Homer getting injured, and then he does like a trade with a French kid who's actually from Albania, and he's like the Cold War. It's like 1989, so that's when the Simpsons originally came out. So it's still a bit of the Cold War. Albania was part of Yugoslavia, I do believe. And then you've got like the Cold War, like the sparrow to the nest, and then you've got the Albanian kid sending messages back to his home country about what's going on in America and the nuclear power plant and stuff like that. And I thought that was an alright episode. I liked that one. You see Bart speaking French and Homer celebrating at the end because his son can speak French. That was a nice moment. And then I'm going to end it by talking about the Krusty getting busted episode. I like episode 13 where Marge and Homer go out to a date, and Bart, Lisa, and Maggie get kind of kidnapped by like a shady woman, and then they manage to tie her up, and then Homer lets her go and she makes a run for it, and the police arrive and all that jazz. But I'm going to final episode here, I'm going to talk about, before I end the video, I'm going to talk about Krusty getting busted, and he's being framed at the Quickie Mart by Sideshow Bob. And I knew when I was watching it again, I could remember the voice. I knew it was somebody's voice that I'd recognised, and it was Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer, who I like in X-Men as Beast. He was great in The Last Stand. We see Krusty, he's in court. Homer was the witness, and Bart's pleading with him, don't call him guilty, he's innocent. And then Krusty's quite emotionally distraught by what's happening, and then he reveals he can't read, and that he doesn't actually have long feet, and that he's... That's Sideshow Bob, and then Sideshow Bob's the actually fairly intelligent guy. He's the mastermind behind it. And then he ends it after Bart and Lisa unmask him on TV when Sideshow Bob takes over. He delivers the line from Scooby-Doo. I would have gotten away with it. It wasn't for you meddling kids. And I would just want to say, I like that episode. I think that was a good, solid episode. I prefer that episode over the episode 13 with the kidnapping attempt and all that, but I like episode 12 a little bit more. Krusty gets busted. I like Krusty the Clown. Sideshow Bob, Kelsey Grammer. I thought it was a good episode. I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching.